The dreaded B word, budgeting, to get your finances in order. Today on the Do Hard Things Today podcast.
You went a different direction than I thought you were going to go there, but I'm glad we're going to talk about budgets. It is a dreaded word, especially in my house. I'm not good at it. I don't stick to it as much as I should. I'll start one. We're going on vacation this next week, so I think it's wrecked until I get back. When I do get back, I know it's important. I know it's something that everybody should do. How important is it? How crucial is it to any kind of success to have a budget?
Well, Jed, as we're recording episode 92 of the podcast today, we are just finishing. This is 2 days after the State of the Union address. And this is not a political statement. It doesn't matter what party. It doesn't matter anything. It's the same thing every time. We have a rising debt ceiling. We just borrow more and more money in our country. And every year, everybody, it doesn't matter, Republican, Democrat, no matter what you call yourself, they all come to the table and they want. We need to spend more. And so it's kind of ironic. We're doing the budget lesson right after the State of the Union, where everybody wants their own stuff and spend. As you can see in our country, it's very important that you budget, that you spend money, you determine how much money you have to spend, and then you spend that money and don't overspend on it. And so that's a big macro piece of it. But let's break that down to obviously we're not going to fix our country in this podcast, but what we can do is we can look and see, okay, how important is it? And Jen, I think from a financial standpoint, and this is part 2 of our financial series, and I know some of the things we do, some of the podcasts are really exciting, got some exciting stories, and talking about budgeting may not be the most glamorous thing in the world, but I believe that it is the most important thing that you can do for your finances in just having a plan.
Why do people hate them so much? Why do you think a lot of people just don't bother to do one, don't want to do one? What is the aversion that people have?
Well, Jed, you think about it. When you think about the word budget, what do you think of?
Restriction.
Yeah, restriction. Yeah. You think about, man, I'm being put on a budget, and that means I'm not going to be able to do the things that I want to do. I'm not going to be able to go eat like I want to eat. I'm not going to be able to buy and that's not what it is. What it really is just you telling your money what to do, and that in turn allows you to do the things that eventually that you want to do with your money. But I believe it is just people don't like the discipline of saying, this is how much money I have, this is what our bills are, and these are the things that I need to spend money on and not spend money on. Nobody likes looking in the mirror and saying, I don't need to spend $10 a day eating out at lunch.
We talked about that in the first episode on finances too. Do you think that's where people are losing a lot of things? The $6 coffee or $10 coffee sometimes, the $10 lunch, anymore for 2 people and a couple of drinks, a $50 dinner here and there every week. Is that where people are losing it? Where do people misplace some of their money?
Gosh, Jed, there's no doubt, because when I sit down with people, or someone will email me they'll say things like this: we know how much money we make, but every single month we're going further in debt, and we shouldn't be, and I don't understand why. Very first thing I get them to do is don't change any habits, don't change anything. Do exactly what you've been doing for the last year. But the only thing I want you to do is have a little pad, and I make people write it because there's something powerful about pen to paper.
Oh, no, that's how I still keep my schedule pen to paper.
Yeah, and I tell them, write down every single thing that you spend money on. They come back, and they're like, wow, like, I had no idea that I was spending $300 a month at Zaxby's.
Right.
I had no idea I was spending $250 a month on coffee. And it's those little things. The big things are the easy things. Hey, what's your car? If you got a car payment, what's your car payment? What's your power bill? What are the things that what's your grocery bill? Those are easy because
Right.
you know those are realities. These other things it's almost like they live in a fantasy
Yeah.
place where you're not budgeting because Jed, you're not going to sit down and budget. Most people are not going to sit down and write down on a budget. I'm going to spend $300 this month on coffee.
Right. Yeah, you're not going to do that.
But you'd be shocked how many people really do spend $300 on. And if you want, here's the great thing about a budget though. If you want to spend $300 on coffee, and there are people that probably want to,
Yeah.
fine.
Write it down and do it.
Write it down and do it.
Is some of this, I'm not going to say loose, but how about lost? Is some of the lost money? I'm going to use an example with me because I know I've got a couple and I've taken some steps to fix it. But you subscribe for a free trial and the free trial runs out. Nah, it's not but $8 a month. I'm going to eat that. That'll be fine. I don't want to cancel it. I might need it. How much of that's going on?
Oh, a ton.
Yeah.
I mean, I do call it lost money of money that you're just, it's subscriptions.
Yeah.
It is, have you ever had, and I know it's different now but I was about to say it's different now with Netflix, but now Netflix they're going up and what happens, something will go up $3 and you're just like, oh, okay, well, that's fine. Not a big deal. Your DirecTV or other things that you may have, you get in on these promo plans.
Right.
And guys, just listen. There is a reason. There is research and marketing behind doing these things. So when somebody gives you an intro plan, they're not anticipating. And what do they tell you when you get that? You get those and they say, oh, in 6 months you don't have to keep the HBO package. We're going to give it to you for free.
For 6 months. Yeah.
Yeah, for 6 months, and you can cancel it. They know that 9 times out of 10, you're going to keep that on there because it's only $19.99 a month extra.
Right.
And so then that's $20 that's gone. And then you take these other things that that's just, you can 5 and 10. Most people in their budget, they don't $10,000 themselves to death. They $5, $10, and $19.99 themselves.
I can definitely see that. No question. And these services like Truebill and other things that eliminate those unwanted subscriptions for you, they're not in business to help you. They're in business because there's a need for them.
Oh,
and people are, and even that costs extra money and extra a month if you sign up for one of those.
Yep.
So there's so many confusing things out there. Where do you start? How do you get a handle on this?
Very simple, Jed. Budgeting is so simple, and we will make in the show notes, and you can email if you're listening to this and you'd like I have a couple of different budget forms that I'll email you for free. We can put these on the website as well. But if you just email over to Kevin at dohardthingstoday.com, I will be happy to send you these budgeting forms I'm going to talk about. But a budget, what you want to do is what we call a zero-based budget. And what that means is you take all of your money that you're going to make for that month, and you're going to budget every single dollar of it. You're going to start up top with, if you're giving to a charity or church, you have a giving category, you have a housing category, you have your utility bills, you have any debts that you have your food. And you write these things down of what does it cost. And for a lot of these are going to be fixed. What's your mortgage or your rent? What's your power bill? What's your grocery budget? And you just go down that list. And usually what happens is you get to the bottom of the list after you've written down all of these bills that you have that come every month. And you're going to have money left over. And you're going to look at that and think, this says I have $500 left over after I've spent these things. Okay, I never have $500 left over at the end of the month,
right?
Really. So then you want to look and say, what am I leaving out? If I'm going to, here's the deal. If you're going to spend $200 a month on coffee, that you can't not say, just saying you're not going to do it and then going and doing it anyway does not fix the problem.
Right. That's not how it works.
If you're going to do it, write it down. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to find out really, really fast how important that is to you. And maybe you say, we don't need it. the priorities in our family, we don't need to spend $200 a month on coffee. Let's knock that down to $100.
Right.
That might be the first step. But you literally, you write down, you spend every single dollar. When you get down to the bottom, you know, and you're budgeting your savings, you're budgeting your debt, paying off debt, all those things. The next podcast we do will be about paying off debt. And we'll talk about the debt snowball and how you can get momentum with that. But you spend every single dollar. So all you do is you take your income, you write down your income, how much you're going to have coming in that month, and then you come over to the right and you start listing all of your bills. And again, I've got a super easy form. I've got it in an Excel spreadsheet format as well that it actually adds all this stuff up for you. I've got the formulas in there. You can, and again, it's completely free. Just email me. I'll make that available to you. But it adds up all of the things that are in your budget, and those things have to match. We talked about Washington.
Right.
They're always talking about, we got to get a balanced budget. And none of them, they all talk about it.
Yeah.
But
you have to do it.
They never do it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we don't have the same power just to keep borrowing as much money as we want to keep our budget going as Washington does. So you've got to be disciplined about writing down those things, and then it just matches. And then at that point, and then as you go through the month and you're spending, it's like entertainment. I remember our entertainment fund when we first got married. Remember, it was $100 a month, and we would $100 went a lot further.
Yeah, definitely.
20 whatever years ago it was. But what that made us do is we would have to determine, okay, we're going to go out to dinner this week. Well, we want to go out to dinner again after church. Well, then you start adding up, and if you're disciplined, you're like, wait a minute, we're going to spend $50. Half of our budget's going to be gone in the first week of the month, and then what are we going to do? And that's where the discipline comes in of planning these things out. If you cut that coffee budget down to $100 and you were getting coffee every single day, well, maybe you get coffee every other day now.
Right.
And you're telling your money what to do. That's all it is.
And you've got all these tools already. So you're telling me that this doesn't require a budget wrecking trip to the App Store or the Office Store.
Yeah, there are a lot of great apps out there. And some people, you know how people are. I deal with this all the time in our company, that there are some people, they love the more technical, the more gadgety, that's better for them. If that works for you, there are a ton of apps. There are free apps, there are paid apps. Dave Ramsey's group has got it's called Every Dollar. It's on the App Store. You could find, there are a ton of apps out there for doing that, but you do not have to have an app to do that. Again, I've got some forms and I've got a spreadsheet that it tallies all these things up for you. The key is tracking these things in real time, where you get together once a month, you have a budget meeting with your family, with your spouse. And when you are talking about, is there anything coming up this month? Like this month is a month that some people are paying taxes and different things like that. You come up with those things, you write them all down, you agree on how you're going to spend the money, you set your budget. And once the budget is set, then it is set. And it does not change, because that's what your family has said. This is what's important to us. And I will say this, there's two kinds of people with budgeting. There are people that are listening to this podcast, and this is the most exciting podcast out of the 92 that we have produced. If that's you, you're weird. You're what Dave Ramsey calls the nerd, but the person that loves the budget, loves the numbers, loves doing this. It excites them. Then you've got the other person, Dave Ramsey calls them free spirits, that they're listening to this, and well, free spirits are probably not listening to this. They saw it was budget and they're not listening to it. The nerd that they're married to probably told them they needed to listen to it, which never works. But the free spirit is the person who just thinks, hey, it'll work itself out.
Right.
and they are probably the ones that are spending $300 on coffee, and they're thinking that it doesn't matter. No matter where you are on that spectrum, come together. Again, tell your money what to do. Have that conversation where you say, okay, would we rather spend that $200 extra on coffee, or would we rather be able to save that money for a vacation? Those are conversations you start having, and then you're placing priorities on these things. So yeah, you don't have to have the app. You don't have to go buy things. We'll make these resources available for you, and there's a lot of free resources. A lot of people a whole lot smarter than I am have dealt with these things before.
Well, here's a loaded question. What if it doesn't work?
The first couple of times you do it, it's not going to work. Usually it takes about 90 days to get your budget dialed in.
Right.
Because you're going to do it the first month, and you're going to be fired up about it. We're in February, so a lot of the New Year's resolution stuff has worn off now.
And there's nothing else to do.
Nothing else to do.
Right.
So you're going to do these, and you're going to misfire. One of two ways. A lot of times you come in and you've been spending $600 a month eating out. That sounds crazy, but that's
very likely.
Yeah, you'd be surprised how often that happens. And you'll say, you know what? That's where all our money is. We're going to spend $50 a month. You're going to cut it from 600 to 50.
So you're going out one time.
And here's what happens. One person's all in about it. It's like, yep, hey, we can eat grilled cheese sandwiches, and that's all. That's what we'll eat. Beans and rice. Dave Ramsey, beans and rice. And the other person is sitting over there, and it's probably the free spirit, and they're just seething. Because this is going to be miserable, because the rest of my life, I'm going to be able to eat out one time a month. They're thinking in those terms. And you don't want to think in those terms. You want to think in terms of, we're doing the discipline thing now to be able to do the things we want to do later. Remember, we talked about, with discipline and good habits, how they lead, bad habits, they give you immediate pleasure, but long-term pain. Good habits, they give you a little bit of short-term pain, but they give you the long-term pleasure.
So you've got to build those habits.
And one of those habits is budgeting. So it more than likely, the first couple of times you do it, it's not going to work. You're going to misfire a little bit. But what will happen is you will start to get dialed in, and you'll start to see, hey, that $19.99 subscription, we really don't need that. We can pop that back in. Hey, and for that $20, I can get 5 more coffees for that $20. That might be important to you.
Right.
But then you decide that that's what you're going to do. So for those of you that are trying this, more than likely it's not going to work the first couple of times. You stay disciplined. Once it starts working, though, it's going to be like you got a raise, because now you're telling your money what to do. You're being disciplined, and you'll be surprised how much it frees you up to really do the things you want to do. And so, the budget lesson, this is part 2 of our financial series. The next part will be paying off debt, dumping debt, getting rid of it. We would just encourage you to go to the Do Hard Things Today Facebook page. We'll make these links available as well. But you can, or just shoot me an email, kevin@dohardthingstoday.com. I'll send you over that budget spreadsheet. Again, there's no ulterior motive. It's completely free. We'll send that over to you. And then if you have any questions, be glad to help you with those as you're working through your budget. Don't overcomplicate it. Just do the simple things. Go in. What's your income? What are your expenses? And those things have to match up every month. And if you do that, you're going to be shocked at how much better and how much more financial freedom you really have. And your money is no different than anything else. If you'll do the hard things today with it, tomorrow will take care of itself.